Jerry.
I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm in the right place.
Hey, Jerry, do a watch party, will you?
I am just what I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place
Hi, Jerry.
at the right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
It only feels funny because you're tall.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's me. Good morning, everybody. So, we have our skeleton crew here this morning. Philip's doing our sound and running YouTube and Facebook Live. And at least 3 or 4 other things that I saw on the screen. And there's all kinds of different video being taken as we're playing here too. So, and then we have Naran
Abdul Rahman.
and Bob and Shannon. So everybody's here. I was gonna destroy that name. She's been practicing. She's got it. All right, everybody. So we just wanted to maintain a connection with everybody, especially through Facebook. And again, Philip's working on some other social media connections that you'll be able to check back on as well. We're going to move to a different format even than we're on right now, starting next week. It'll all filter through and it should run pretty seamlessly if we can get everything that Philip needs to make that happen. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to my honey.
And the point of that is we won't be coming down here anymore. Everything's going to be from the spots where whoever's speaking, whoever's doing the music, Scott and I will do a little this sort of thing from our house. So we won't be having to come down to this place anymore in the interest of social distancing and such. So announcements this week. I'm very happy to say that we have, you all are probably, if you're a pod person, you know that we have Naran Sykes is one of our speakers. She's a Muslim and she's awesome and we love her dearly. And this was her Sunday. She was going to speak on faith. This is the last week that we have in our series on faith. And Naran asked me if, since her husband is not having to do his typical job today, if he could come and be our speaker. And I was very excited to hear that because we've been looking forward to meeting him. So Abdul Rahman is going to speak on faith from a Muslim perspective. Next Sunday, I'm really excited about this too. Next Sunday is Easter Sunday, and the woman who started the pod, Reverend Sue Bailey, she was the original minister. She's who we started this endeavor with, I don't remember, 15 years ago. Yeah. Wow. Sue is going to be our speaker, and she's going to be remote from North Carolina. And in addition to that, if you are a pod person, this will be really exciting. Melanie England's going to do the music. So it's going to be a really cool Sunday, a special Sunday, Easter Sunday for us. So be sure and tune in 10:45 on Facebook. I'm going to. on April 19th, thanks, honey. On April 19th, which is the next Sunday, we are going to start a new series. And I'm really interested in this because we had a sort of a 3-series thing that we wanted to look at. We want to do faith. Our next one is going to be darkness. And I'm not really sure how people are going to approach that. We've had an immense amount of variety in doing something as simple as self-love, faith. Each of the speakers has come from a totally different viewpoint, so I'm really interested to see what darkness looks like. That's what sounds funny. I know what darkness looks like, but okay. So our speaker to start darkness is Dave Vitito. He is from the Open Mind Zen Center in Melbourne. He's a Buddhist. So tune in for that. It's going to be amazing, I'm sure. And the last thing I want to talk about was I try to do my morning pages a la the artist's way, and just a little jotting down of thoughts, whatever comes to you in the morning, and it's really, really good for me. It helps my emotional state a lot. One of the things that came to me this morning in my morning pages was it made me sad. It almost made me cry, and I don't admit that very often. Hush, just hush. But this is Palm Sunday, and I was not raised Catholic, but I was raised in a Catholic household. My mom was very devout Catholic. My sisters are all Catholic, and I was thinking that this is a really difficult time for them today, because I can remember my mom going to Mass on Palm Sunday and coming home with her little blessed piece of palm. And that was very dear to her. And that little palm went somewhere special. It was either on the refrigerator door with a magnet, or it was on her bedside table, or it was on one of the bookshelves in a vase. They were all over our house because they don't wear out that fast. And so several years would go by and those palms would be all around. And I thought today is very difficult for a lot of Christians and other people, other faiths too. I found out when I was looking at it this morning that the palm represents eternity, it represents immortality, and depending on what culture you're looking at, it's very Mid-Eastern. So I just wanted to take a minute. Can you see that on the screen? Mm-hmm. You can see it? Okay, we stopped and got a gigantic cabbage palm frond out of our lot next door and brought it with us. And I just like for everybody, the people here and for you at home, let's just put some energy and some love into that palm frond, and to recognize what that means to a whole lot of people. It was the palm fronds that in the Bible, it was the palm fronds that they laid in front of Jesus when he triumphantly entered into Jerusalem shortly before he was killed, and we know the rest of that story. So let's just put some energy into that palm frond today, and bless all the people, send them a little empathy and love that are maybe feeling sad, and hopefully this energy will help them look at this as a good thing, and maybe go a little bit deeper into their Palm Sunday traditions and thoughts. So, okay. Next thing, and this is funny too. The country for today is the United States. I thought about just having do all that for me. I thought about just having a few moments of meditation or whatever for the United States, and then I looked up fun facts, and I can't pass these up because there are some doozies. George Washington never lived in the White House. Thank you. George Washington never lived in the White House. He oversaw the building of the White House, but John Adams was the first one that lived there. The deadliest job in the country is president. How's that for some? Because of all of the presidents, 45 presidents, 4 of them have been assassinated in office, and 4 died of natural causes, which makes the death rate about 18%. So, yeah. So there you go. Independence Day was not on the 4th of July. It was on the 2nd of July. The 4th of July is just when they signed the documents to make it so that they could send it out into the world. There's some real doozies here. 8 of the 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence were British. And they were probably saying, oh yeah, let's get rid of these guys. We've had enough trouble with them. The average American throws away 4.4 pounds of trash every day. Ooh, that's a lot. In some states, I told Scott this morning, I want to move to one of these states. In some states, there are more cows than people. Ready? Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, and Wyoming have fewer humans than they do cattle. How cool is that? I'll find one more. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that was the good one. I knew there was one more. This is the last one I'm going to do. Americans eat about 100 acres of pizza every day. 100 acres of pizza.
Every day, not year, every day.
Isn't that crazy? All right, so all of that aside, let us hold our country and the rest of the world. Let us hold everyone, because we are all one, in our hearts. And say these words together. May peace prevail in the United States. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in me. Okay.
You said?
Yeah, this is typically where we would run around the room and hug each other, but we're not going to do that. Okay? Virtual hugs to all you lovely, awesome, wonderful people out there. Moving on.
Moving right along. So I had the opportunity to introduce Bob and Shannon last week. And all that being said, I wanted to just throw out for you some of their personal business on Front Street. So, and to me, it really is, because I heard them sharing it again this morning, and their life really has been this act of faith over the last week. So, as you know, they came to us last week with their entire world packed up in their house, prepared to come down here to Florida. And Monday, sure enough, they woke up and they hopped in their van, in their car, and they came to Florida. And the next morning, the movers came and took all of their belongings, put it in a truck, and started the slow trek down to Florida. Shortly after arriving, they found out that the mortgage system that was holding up the mortgage that they were getting no longer exists on the planet. Not only that, but there really wasn't anybody doing any kind of mortgage work anywhere in the world, because, well, they were all running around with face masks on trying to figure out what to do next, and we just lost 5,000 points in the stock market, and there's a little bit of freaking out happening in the world. So day by day, I'm checking in. How you doing? What's going on? And there was moments, right? What was the word we used? Crunchy. Right? There was crunchy moments, but they kept coming back to, this is what we're supposed to do. If not this, what? If not now, when? And ultimately, their mortgage was approved, and they're sliding over there today to begin the painting process. Really all kind of wrapped up in this beautiful dance of faith. So without further ado, Bob and Shannon.
I'll just leave all that right there. Fear is the cheapest room in the house. I'd like to see more love in your eyes. Fear is the coldest room with no doubt. I'd like to see more love in your eyes. Fear is a flame only the heart can blow. God, I'd like to see more flowing through your hand. Greed, she will bleed you, she will suffocate and tease you. I'd like to see more flowing through your hand. 'Cause all you touch, it turns to gold. And when you release it, it turns into more. And it never ends, it goes on and on into the arms of a grateful world. Oh, my brothers and sisters, it's a grateful world. Come with me, together we'll go to see the friend. I'd like to see you taste some of her medicine. Come with me, we'll lay a prayer out on the wind. I'd like to see you taste some of her medicine. Come with me, we'll lay a kiss down on the land. I'd like to see you taste some of her medicine. 'Cause all you touch, it turns to gold. And when you release it, it turns into more. And it never ends, it goes on and on and on to the arms of a grateful world. Oh, my brothers and sisters, it's a grateful world. I'd like to see more love. I'd like to see more love. I'd like to see more love in your eyes. Come on, sing it. I'd like to see more love. I'd like to see more love. I'd like to see more love in your eyes. I'd like to see more flowing. I'd like to see more flowing. I'd like to see more flowing. I'd like to see more flowing through your hands. I'd like to see you taste. I'd like to see you taste. I'd like to see you taste some of her medicine. Fear is the cheapest room in the house. I'd like to see more love in your eyes. Fear is the coldest room with no doubt. I'd like to see more love in your eyes. Fear is a flame only your heart can blow out. And I'd like to see more love in your eyes.
Gonna do another one. Well,
We thought we would do the song that you guys, I don't know if you still do it or you used to do it.
Used to for like years.
So going back to the, what do you call this, the archives, the pod archives.
Yes.
Yeah, this place, it's where magic can happen. Beyond what we ever believed. It's like rolling hills and giant sunflowers as far as the eye can see. As far as the eye can see. In peace, signs and lines are what makes the world go round and round and round. And children's smiles and loving eyes are what makes the walls come tumbling down. Well, the doors to heaven are open. Whatever your heaven might be, or maybe it's always been right here and now, just between you and me, just between you and me.
Thank you. We just asked them to do that yesterday. They hadn't got anything else to do, right? Sorry. No, really, that's it's funny because, and I'm sure if you're a pod person and you're watching, as soon as he opens the chords on that song, it's like something just, because we did that song for so long, as every single Sunday as one of our gathering songs. And yeah, it's just like, it just washes over you. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. Now, I want to introduce Abdul Rahman Sykes. His title, and I learned this morning. I've already learned a bunch of stuff this morning. Every time I learn a bunch of stuff. Imam means, that's the title for a Muslim clergy. So Imam Sykes. He is a licensed clinical social worker. He is also was for 18 years a chaplain in the prison system. I'm sure there's some good stories about that. That would be an interesting thing to discuss sometime. And he has been a Muslim for 33 years. So one of the, as I already said, Nuran is one of our favorites. We love all our speakers, but Nuran and I just clicked when she came here the very first time. And I don't find any great pride in admitting this, but I don't know very many Muslim people at all, and had no idea what to expect or how to converse and all those things that go through your silly mind when you're doing these things. And like I said, she walked in and we clicked, and we've been buds ever since. I just am sad that they live all the way over in Orlando. So, so I was very excited and happy to have her husband come into our speaking today. They have 4 children, just a little personal stuff here. They live in Orlando. They have 4 children and 6 grandkids, and a very full life. Whenever Nuran comes, she tells us their latest escapades and things they're doing. And yeah, they're crazy busy, and we just really appreciate that they were willing to come over here and do this for us, our last live in the building service, and made things easier on us technically, so that we could make sure we have all our ducks in a row for next week when everything's going to be not here. So without further ado, Abdul Rahman.
So I'm just going to take a moment for everybody out there in what we used to say Radiolab to just get here. You may say, well, we are here, but maybe sometimes you're distracted by those things around you, and thank you, and the world, and perhaps what's going on in the world right now. So truly, my spirit is touched by the music. Could not have been planned better. If I had asked them to play the songs, they would have played the songs that they played. So mild. It was just really touched my heart. So I'm honored to be here, and today I'm going to talk about faith in the Islamic paradigm, but I'm also going to share my personal experience with faith. I'm going to talk a lot about my life and faith, and it's certainly been a faith journey. I started preaching when I was 8 years old, and in 1969, the year that Martin Luther King was assassinated, I was 9 years old, and I was preaching in African American churches in rural North Carolina. I was quite controversial for my family. May God bless them and keep them. I wouldn't wish that anybody had a child like me. But anyway, that'll just help you understand a little bit about me. And then my faith took me to South Africa, where I did anti-apartheid work for 5.5 years, something like that, and then into being a Muslim. So faith in Islam is defined as belief in God and belief in the Creator, the one God. We only believe that there's one God. And it is faith in the Creator and a corresponding system of religious beliefs. And so I don't really like the word religious. I like the word spiritual, because I think religion is what you read, spirituality is what you experience. And so I'm a guy that's an experiential kind of guy. There is no concept, however, in the Quran, our holy book, more basic to the understanding of God's revelation through the Prophet Muhammad than faith. The Arabic noun rendered in English as either faith or belief is referred to as iman, not imam, but iman. So we talk about how much iman a person has, okay? Or they have iman, meaning that they believe. The whole of Arabic language is built on verbs. Every single word is a triliteral root verb. Try to keep this simple. But from the verb amuna, which has many forms, every single verb in the Arabic language has 29 forms. It means to be faithful, reliable, safe, and secure from fear. And of course, I was thinking about Bob's song and how he began to talk about fear, and we'll get more into that and how it's going to tie into the song. But I also am a great lover of the Bible, and I still study the Bible as well. And I looked at the passage in 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And then I looked at Job 3:25. For the thing which I have greatly feared has come unto me, and that which I was afraid of has come upon me. I think there's much power in that, and I think that ties into the song. Job always had in his remembrance the uncertainty and instability of earthly things. And I can think of no period, no era in my lifetime of more uncertainty than right now with COVID-19. And yet my faith is strengthened by it. I am so confident that there is something very positive in this. It seems that faith, hope, and trust have their opposites. And the opposites are doubt, worry, and fear. And as a therapist, I always tell my clients that fear is the acronym for false expectations appearing real. I also tell them that fear is sand in the machinery of life. That if you want to fail or you want to have a rough life, just be afraid of things. And your self-fulfilling prophecies through that fear will come true. In Islam, there's another form of this verb called amana, which is often translated as trust. Carries both the meaning of rendering secure and in putting trust in someone or something. So with faith, with trust, I'm secure. If I look at this stool and it sort of wobbles when I came up here, I might not put much trust in the stool, so I probably would have stood up because I didn't have faith in the stool. In Islam, one who puts their trust in God and revelation are understood as people of faith or people of belief. To one who is faithful, the mu'min, we call them, is he or she who understands the content of God's basic revelation and who thereby enters a state of security and trust in God through obedience and trusting. I call it reliance on GPS, God's planning system. The faithful, al-mu'mineen, are the ones whose hearts, when God is mentioned, are filled with awe. And in the 8th chapter of the Holy Quran, in the 2nd verse, it says, when his or her, and I always refer to God as his and her, because God is not limited. And a he is limited, and a she is limited. But he, she is not. So I always refer to God as he, she, and I hope that my murdering the grammar of the English language will not confuse you today. And when his or her revelation, signs, we say in Arabic, ayat, in the universe are recited to them, their faith is strengthened, and they put their trust in their Lord. So when we see the signs in the universe, and I saw the signs in the universe when I arrived here to the door, my eyes were filled with tears of the music of someone I'd never met in my life, a brother and a sister that I didn't know I had. O you who have faith is a mantra found in the Holy Quran. It is a common refrain as God speaks to the members of his or her community through commandments, admonitions, or words of counsel in the Holy Quran. Sometimes faith is expressed specifically as the remembrance of God, and we call that dhikr. And so, for example, you may see a Muslim carry prayer beads, or you may see them use their hands, and we say, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. And we do it 33 times after every prayer. Alhamdulillah, which means all the praise is due to God, glory to God. And we say, Allahu Akbar, God is the greatest. And the more evolved we try to be spiritually, the more that we try to do that from our heart. So the idea is to move from doing it from our tongue only to hopefully doing it with our heart. That in all moments of time, we are praising and glorifying God, and that makes us have faith and it makes us secure. The next verse that I wanted to share with you is Surah 13, verse 28. Those who have believed and whose hearts are assured by the remembrance of God. Unquestionably, by the remembrance of God, hearts find peace. So therefore, we do the tasbih with our hands or with our beads. When we are serving the greater good in our community and in our lives with our families and friends, we are remembering. When we are remembering God out of our love for God, our hearts find safety, rest, tranquility, and repose. In Islam, faith is generally understood to encompass both affirmation and response. So the next verse, following the one I just read, 13:29, says, those who have believed and done righteous deeds, a good state is theirs and a good return. So there's a good return on the investment. And we say in Arabic, kayfa halik. And it doesn't just mean, what's up, dude, how are you? It means, what is your state? It's very deep. So when we greet people generally, it's, what is your state? And then typically we go on, what is the state of your grandmother? What is the state of your mother? What is the state? Kayfa halik. That's what it means. So if anybody ever says, kayfa halaki to a woman or kayfa halaka to a man, you'll know they're actually meaning more than what's up. They're asking you, what is the state of your being? How are you doing spiritually? And this is repeated in many, many verses, and I found at least 4 just came to my head. I won't read them all because I want to make sure I stay within my time frame. The Quran closely links the term for good works as salihat to faith and iman. So faith and iman is often found next to good works. The verb salihah in Arabic means to be good, right, proper, and pious, and the salihad of the good deeds in which the faithful people engage themselves in. The joining of faith and works is so integral to the Quran that many have argued that the performance of works is implicit in the understanding of what it means to have faith. Faith in the Islamic paradigm is not so much believing in something or adhering to some kind of acceptance of the unseen or what is immediately evident to the senses or reason, as it is active testimony to what one holds unquestionably to be true. God acts on behalf of mankind, humankind, and men and women respond to the act of faith. So what is the content of faith? In Islam, it is a mix of mental discernment, verbal confession, and the performance of good deeds. And this is really at the heart of faith, Iman. We do not believe that faith is a general category of human response began with Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, or those who heard his message. Throughout the ages, there were people that understood from Adam and Eve all the way up to today. There were people that understood that there is only one God or Creator and responded with faith and submission to that. There were people who lived a kind of pristine purity and safety in the knowledge of God. The first to be mentioned by name in the Quran was Abraham, the father of the monotheistic faiths, who was and is understood as the archetypical person of faith and submission. So from Adam to Muhammad, there were 125 prophets and messengers, people of faith, according to Islam. I would also like to speak a moment to the concept of faith as gratitude, and then its fluctuating state, I'll talk about as well, and the need to nurture it and keep it from wearing out. Many verses in the text of the Quran attest that one of the primary ways in which faith is to be understood and expressed is by recognizing or the recognition that the world is a manifest gift of God. That everything created is a gift from God, and that everything that comes to us, and I'll share more about that in a minute, is a gift from God. No matter how we judge it with our five senses mentality or intellect, the heart that's connected to God knows that everything that comes, even Bob and Shannon's house challenge, was a gift to them. The person who has faith is the one who sees these signs and understands with his or her intelligence or intellect their nature as a gift from God. It is implied that those lacking in faith are the ones who fail to recognize and be grateful for these very special signs. Faith in its Quranic understanding contains the element thankfulness to God for the bounties he or she has bestowed on humanity, and praise of God as the only fitting response in both words and action. In chapter 32, verse 15, only those believe in our verses who, when they are reminded of them, fall down in prostration and exalt God with praise of their Lord. They are not arrogant. Appreciation is expressed not only in the heart and by individual praise and prostration, but by active participation of the community. And I often think of prostration as the ultimate surrender. What a vulnerable position if I prostrate before you today. You can walk all over me. Faith is a refuge, and the need for faith revival. The word revival always makes me think of my childhood, because every year we had at least one, and we got revived. We got resuscitated. We had CPR, spiritual CPR. So how can we revive, renew, maintain our faith, and keep it strong? How do we settle faith in our heart and maintain it? How do we make our hearts convicted and settled with faith in our hearts so that it extends to our extremities, our limbs, and our actions? Our prophet said faith increases when a person does good. It decreases when a person does evil. Healthy faith settled in our hearts alleviate fear and brings us security and tranquility. Abraham asked God to make this a place of safety and security. Isn't that the definition of a sanctuary? Sounds like my therapy office. For Muslims, on the Day of Judgment, believers will assume a station of safety, a place of tranquility. Faith brings safety, and it also means to safeguard a trust. Allah is called Al-Mu'min, in that God safeguards his or her believing creation and even his or her non-believing creation. God safeguards those that place their trust and faith in him or her. So what does faith mean comprehensively? Safety of the heart from all the diseases that can corrupt it is obtained through faith. We are in the holy month of I.S.L.A.M right now, and we believe that on the 15th of this month, God forgives the sins of all his entire creation, as long as they have three conditions. They hold no grudges in their heart. They are not a murderer. And the first one is they do not have polytheism in their heart. They believe there's one creator. Our eyes and limbs are made safe through faith. Faith creates safety for us in the world of delusion. Healthy faith saves us from evil deeds. Safety protects us from punishment, and that's self-inflicted sometimes. Faith makes us safe from falling into despair. Faith gives us hope. Faith protects us from forgetting our purpose in life. Faith protects our soul from darkness and evil friends. Faith provides all these benefits and more. Since faith means safety and security, you safeguard yourself with belief in this. And to fully realize faith in all those different things, there is a very powerful explanation from a scholar called Imam al-Muzani, rahimahullah, may Allah bless him, who said that since faith means safety and security, you safeguard yourself with belief in this world and the hereafter, and all of the comprehensive meanings of safety. One needs to look at where one's insecurity is in their Creator. It will behoove us to do that today. For example, if you constantly feel afraid of people harming you, you need to renew your faith and recognize that that is where your lack of faith in God, the protector, is. So it starts in our own heart. If you're always afraid of poverty, then that is where you need to renew your faith in Allah al-Razak. And what I'm naming are actually 99 names of Allah. I'm not going to give you all of them because I don't have much more time. But I just gave you two. So one of his names is al-Razak. And that is where you recognize an insecurity and you constantly try to reestablish your faith and belief in God, the sustainer. Whenever we feel insecurity coming, and wherever we feel insecurity coming from, that's where you know you have a weakness and vulnerability in your faith, your belief. That is where you need to settle it so that your faith can be comprehensive and encompassing all of your extremities, thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Thus, we have cognitive behavioral therapy to bring us back. We pray to God to grant us an iman, or faith that is fulfilling, that protects us from our deeds, that protects us from the corruption of our egos, that protects us from any type of harm in this world and the next. We ask God to establish our faith in him or her and to realize all of the benefits of having faith. And then I asked you what happens when our faith wears out. We almost recognize that over time, faith will wear out. It doesn't take a hadith, which is a scripture, for example, or something that the prophet said or did, for you to recognize that because you might remember a time when you felt really close to God and a time when you felt really distant, it happened. We might feel as if we have gone back on things we were previously able to attain, and we start wondering, what happened? What happened? And And our prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said, faith wears out in your heart the way your garment will wear out. In another translation, it says that faith wears out like the laundry. So if you think we put on a clean, fresh shirt, and then after we speak and sing for a long time, then it gets a little musty and not so pleasant. And after we launder it 40 times, the colors aren't as bright. And our faith gets like that sometimes. If you throw your garment into the washing machine over and over again, it starts to lose its color. We buy things new, and even if we take really good care of it, it starts to lose its color just by the amount of washing it goes through. It is natural that our faith is going to wear out the same way that our garment does. There's a difference in taking your garment and getting stains all over it and not washing it or tearing holes in your garment. You can take care of it and still it will lose some of its color. There's a difference between someone who will take care of it and someone who doesn't take care of it at all. So we have to nurture our faith. Somebody let me know how I'm doing on time. Here is the thing about your faith, Iman.
You're fine.
It may be one color or it may be strong because of a particular incident that happened to you in life or some sort of occurrence that really touched you at that particular moment. And I'd like to share some personal stories with you. In 2003, I believe I was 48, I'm not sure, but I was very young and I was diagnosed with cancer. And I had a really wonderful, lovely bout. And my wife was told, your husband's going to die. I weighed 140, I weigh 180 today, so you can see I'm pretty tall and slim. You can imagine me 40 pounds thinner. I had a hemoglobin of 8, and the doctor sent me home and said, healthcare will come and hospice will follow. I never stopped thanking God for that cancer. And the day that I got cancer, I sat down with my children and I opened the Quran and I read a verse from a chapter called The Spider. And it tells us that does man think that he will live without being tested? That I tested those afore and I will test those now to see who is the true among the false. And I said to my kids, this is a gift from God, this cancer. And I want to pass this test. And I passed the test. I'm here today. I was so without life I could not climb stairs, and they used to put me upside down to get a blood pressure. I'll tell another story. In 2012, I suffered a massive stroke at Planet Fitness on the bench press. I knew it was a stroke. I called all of my children on the bench press and said, are you safe? I just want to share with you, I think I'm having a stroke. I'll see you at the hospital, but I just wanted to talk to you. I knew it was a blessing from God. When I got to the emergency room, my wife was told your husband has less than a 1% chance to live, and he will never walk again. Those who are here today in the studio saw me walk up here, and I lived in a wheelchair for 7 months. And I believe that these stories strengthen our faith because they were gifts, and they strengthen my faith. And I'll share one more story. I landed in Washington Dulles Airport, I think up close to where you guys used to live. On 9/11, 4 minutes after the news said that a plane had hit the Pentagon. And they said that that plane came from Florida. And I had just moved to Florida. My wife and children were in North Carolina waiting for our home to be sold. And my wife was called that they heard that the plane I was supposed to be on had hit the Twin Towers, and they began to prepare for my funeral. People gathered at the home. I landed in that airport wearing what is called a white jalabia. I looked like an Arab. And with a name like Abdul Rahman, when you look like me, you're not always treated kindly by law enforcement. It was the first time I didn't want anybody to know my name in my life. But the beautiful thing was, it wasn't that plain. And I managed, by the grace of God, to call my wife and say, I'm safe. You couldn't get through, nobody. People were standing at the phones cursing and screaming they couldn't get through. But I did. So I shared these very personal stories because I want every one of you out there, if you have a mess in your life, turn it into a message. If you have pain in your life, turn it into purpose. Take the pain as a gift and turn it into purpose. And if you have a test, turn it into a testimony. Sometimes what renews faith is entirely different because God's planning system, GPS, is at work. God opens many doors for us to be reminded of him or her and to have our faith renewed. The prophet continues on this hadith and gives us the first place we should go when our faith is warned. He said, ask God, and God will revive and renew your faith. God opens many, many doors for us to be reminded of him or her and to have our faith renewed. It starts off by asking God, the one who enables your heart, the one who puts faith in you, the one who responds to you, your sustainer. Ask God to renew your faith in the midst of COVID-19 and be frequent in your supplications to God. While you are praying for a new job or some sort of sustenance in this world, while you are praying for something to happen to you, maybe for a new car, for God to ease the path of something for you, don't forget to constantly ask God to renew your faith, because your faith is your greatest blessing. Faith is our most precious asset. If it is gone, everything else is no good. It's not going to benefit you in any way. If faith is strong, then everything else of this world can be born. So the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says, ask God that he or she would revive your faith. Abdullah ibn Masud, a great saint of Islam, gives us a supplication. O Allah, revive us in our faith, in our certainty, and in our understanding. Ask God for increase in your faith today, in your conviction, your certainty, and in your understanding of God. Anytime you come across a supplication which talks about this increase, it talks about God enabling in you. The best prayer to me is one by Ibn Taymiyyah. May Allah be pleased with him. And he said, "O God, enable me to properly remember you and to thank you and to worship you." He said, because you are asking the enabler to enable you, O turner of hearts, make my heart firm. So ask God to purify your soul. Ask the enabler to enable you. Ask the one who can truly purify you to purify you. This is the best thing you can do for your faith. Allah forces us to do this in our prayers as Muslims 17 times a day. We say, Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Show us the straight path. Every single time we recite our prayers, we say this. So again, I close with the supplication, O God, in this time, increase us in faith, conviction, and understanding. And now I'm going to invite you to have a closed eye process with me. And I would ask you to just uncross your arms, if your arms are crossed. Uncross your legs. If you can, take your shoes off. And let your feet be on the ground. Ground yourself. And if you're able and it's okay with you, close your eyes. And I'll ask you to breathe in through your nose. And when you breathe in through your nose, imagine, we'll have a little fun, that your tummy is a balloon. And fill the balloon as full as you can when you breathe in, and hold it for a second. And then release until the balloon is completely empty. And listen to what it sounds like. It sounds like a wave. So if you can imagine just breathing in for about 7 seconds. And when the balloon is full, just imagine the helium going out and it landing on the ground, completely releasing when you exhale. And I'll ask you to breathe. Try to breathe a little deeper each time. And each time as you breathe, imagine Adam, the first messenger of God. We are told that he was a lump of clay. And when God breathed his ruach, his breath into him, he became a living being. So I ask you with each breath to imagine breathing life into your soul. And as you are breathing life into your soul, I would ask you to focus on your brain, breathing into your brain, and allowing with that breath light to come. And as you exhale, just release any tension, any negative thoughts, any paralyzing thoughts that are there, and just see them going out of your breath as you're exhaling. And then in a moment, when you take your next breath, I want you to breathe into the back of your neck and visualize the knot of tension. And as you would untie a shoe, just visualize that tension going out of each end. And with your next breath, I want you to breathe into your shoulders. And if there are those of you who are with us today that are carrying some tension, as you exhale, just allow that tension to run down your arm and out your fingers and down to the floor and out your door and into the drain. And as you continue with your deep breathing, I ask you to let that breath go into your arm and visualize it like a surgical glove, being filled with light and good energy and love and faith and hope. And as you exhale, release anything that's juxtaposed to that and just allow it to go out of your body, down your arm, out your fingers, onto the floor, out your front door, and into the drain. And wherever you're sitting, just allow your head and your shoulders at this point to become one with the chair you're sitting in. And experience the healing that you're bringing to your body as you breathe in. And with your next breath, I want you to focus on your chest. And as you do that, just allow your shoulders to go back and open yourself up to what God has for you. Open up yourself to health and healing and soundness of mind and peace. And allow yourself to receive. And as you exhale, just release anything that would block you from that. And with your next breath, I want you to focus on your tummy. Any kind of tension that's there, any kind of tightness that's there, whenever you exhale, just release it. And then I want you to focus on your next breath in the lower chakra, your buttocks, your groin, your sexual region. Just allow healthy energy and safety to come there. And whenever you exhale, just release any tension, stress, or strain that's there. Just visualize it going down your legs and past your knees and past your shins, past your ankles and right out your toes, onto the ground, out the door it goes and into the drain. And with your next breath in, I want you to focus on your thighs. Just fill them as full as you can with health and wholeness. And when you release, just let the tension go. And notice how connected you are to the chair that you're sitting in, how how you're becoming one with it, and that you're completely in front of a safe God. And when you inhale the next time, I want you to breathe into your thighs and your knees. Just allow that energy, that good energy, to run down into your shins, your calves. And when you exhale, just release anything juxtaposed to peace and tranquility, rest and repose. And the next time you'll breathe into your feet like they're surgical gloves. And whenever you exhale, release any tension that's there. I'm going to ask Bob to come up and bring us some beautiful music with this relaxation, if he's able to do so at this point. And as you inhale the next time, I want you to imagine a white light, a light of intensity, a beam of light. And I just want you to scan it from your right to your left, and your right to your left, and just allow it to come over your body. And that beam of light is eradicating any kind of negativity, any kind of toxicity, any kind of pain, emotional pain, physical pain, any kind of grudge that you might have, any kind of dis-ease that you might have in your heart. Just allow it to leave you as the light comes. And perhaps now maybe the light is about the middle of your chest. Just continue to allow it to scan from right to left as it goes through your entire body, cleansing and purifying you. Continuing to breathe. Just allow the light to keep going, scanning from right to left and right to left, right down through your pelvic region, making sure that like little Pac-Man, it's eradicating any negativity, any doubt, any worry, any fear. Just let that keep going. And as that light continues through your thighs and your knees and your shins, your calves and your ankles and your feet, I'm going to intensify that light so that it encompasses your entire body and all its chakras. Just take it in. And for a moment, I want you to transport yourself to a safe place. And for some of you, that might be the beach. And for some of you, that might be a mountain. It could be the desert. It could be a field of dandelions. And just allow yourself to be there and open your hands. Turn your palms up to the heavens and allow yourself to receive. Just allow yourself to receive healing. Allow yourself to receive peace and tranquility. And know that God has not given you the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. And so I just ask you to stay centered within yourself. And I'm going to count to 10. And when I get to 10, whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back. Just stay where you are, enjoying the peace that you have created for yourself. And imagine with each of the 10 counts I'm making, take a deep breath. And with each count that I do, you see yourself ascending and elevating. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005, 1,006, 1,000, number of spiritual perfection. The number 8, number 9, and number 10.
just want to say thank you. Thank you. Perfect. Just perfect. Thank you. I love you. I get the unenviable task of coming back to a better world than when we started. Thank you. Better world in my heart, in this room, I'm sure everywhere. I want to remind everybody that we have our website, www.peopleofdiversity.org. You can go there and make a donation. I posted on our event for this that COVID-19 cares not one bit about our bills. We still have rent to pay. Pat has had to close the shop. The massage studio, obviously, she is not able to work, and we're going to pay her rent this month because I'm sure she'll appreciate that. So if you feel so moved to make a donation, go right there and push that button. We'd appreciate it. What else? Oh, we're going to close with our One Power song, and wherever you are, send your energy out. If you need healing, as we said today, open your hands and receive. Also give healing. Send your love and your energy out to all those who are hurting and need a little support today. And listen to this song. And with that, I'll say thank you again to Bob and Shannon and to the Sykes, and especially to Philip. He sits over there quiet and works his magic and makes all this happen, and it's not been easy. I know it's not been easy. Today was a piece of cake compared to last week. And hopefully next week everything will go smoothly, but he's been working real hard and coming up here and on days other than Sunday to make sure that things are going to be good. And Philip, we love you and we really appreciate that. Yeah. And to my honey as well, he does a lot of things behind the scenes. So thank you, everybody. And with that, we'll have our last song. And you guys have a good week, and we'll see you next week, Easter Sunday.
And you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth, as simple as the love